Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in. We have had some of the most amazing guests from all over the world. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button, follow us on our journey. Today we have the HVAC mom with us. Marci, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Where are you calling from?
I am based out of Spanaway, Washington.
Very nice. How old are you?
I'm 33.
Okay. Are you married? Do you have children?
I am, yes, I'm married and I have two boys. They're teenagers now.
Wow. Interesting times.
Yes, yeah.
We have a teenager. It is not easy.
No, it'll it'll add character to you though.
Yes, for sure. For sure. What do you do for work?
So I do HVAC. I'm a small business owner. Um, yeah, I love it.
That's awesome. Yes, Marci, you are carrying on an incredible legacy. I've been following you for a while now on social media, and you are truly just such a badass.
Oh, thanks.
How did you get into HVAC?
So my dad actually started the company when before I was born. He started it in 1985. And I've been working with him ever, since I was little. And I actually have three brothers, but I've always really had a really close connection with my dad. And there's pictures of me and him working together. I was like 3. I loved it. I wasn't going to do it as a career, but it just kind of blossomed into that. I actually did running start, which is like trade school and high school at the same time. And I was in nursing school and then did HVAC as well. So I was in school from 8 a.m. till 10 p.m. at night. Just to please, I'm sorry,
That's
just
okay.
to please my dad. He was like, just take it just in case. You never know what life is going to bring you. It's good to have the skills. I'm like, okay. So I took both. I got into the nursing field for a while, and something had happened where I just I was working HVAC on the weekends with him, just to kind of pay my bills and things. And also, I had a child. And something happened, and I called him one day, and I was just really crying and losing it. I was young, I was a mom, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. He's like, well, just come and work with me. You have the knowledge for it until you can find another job at a medical facility. And I was like, okay, that'll work. And I ended up working with him full time, and I loved it. I've always loved helping people. And a lot of people don't understand that in the HVAC, uh, we're we help people when they're freezing cold in the wintertime. You give them heat, and it's like amazing to see, just to have them so happy with you. And same thing in the summer when it's really hot, and some people have, their elderly or illnesses or kids, and you go in there and you give them AC, and they're just so thankful. And I was like, this is what I want to do. This is definitely what I want to do. And we're contracted with the county for low income, so we go around and help, on the a federal level, and we help people that way too. And it's just, I loved it way more than the medical field. So I went to school, I got the right certifications, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do this.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry. They lay around all day until I'm ready to thing.
But
So,
that's really awesome.
yeah, well, what I find crazy is the school you said you went to first, how old were you when you were doing that school?
16.
So,
Wow.
all right, you did say it's like a trade school, high school.
Yep, it's called Running Start. Yeah. So I
I've
actually went.
never heard of that, and that blows me away because I wish I knew that when I was young. I would have been all about that.
Right.
Because we
Yeah,
had, you had shop class, which was, you had metal and wood. That was it.
yeah.
So to have a whole school like that, that would have been badass.
Yeah, it's at colleges, and a lot of people don't know about it. It's geared towards people that want to like start early in their career. And for my circumstance, I actually got expelled from high school, and my dad was the one there for me, and he's like, "Listen, you can go one of two ways. You can take this and learn from it and better yourself and use it as a head start on getting college, or you can not care and have to redo your year." And I'm like, okay. So he was a really huge factor in me getting started early and finishing early.
Did you end up getting your high school diploma?
Yep, I did.
Very awesome.
Yes, and I finished high school early, and there's a lot of like grants and not loans, but what the state has to offer kids before they hit 18. And it's part of the you don't know what's out there till you start looking for it.
Right.
That's crazy. I've never heard of that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So
Do you know if they're nationwide?
They should be, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's good to know. I didn't know that, and that's awesome to definitely promote for the younger age kids that, I get a lot of questions, advice to get into different trades. And that's good
Absolutely.
to give out. That's awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot, of younger kids on social media or how do I get into this? How do I start? And I always say, go to trade school, check out Running Start, or check out, in this industry, people start so many different ways. And the way that I started was obvious. My dad, was like teaching me the most part, but he was very firm about, hey, you got to get your certifications. You've got to do this, by the law. Washington has some of the strictest laws there is for HVAC, and he was all about it. But at the same time, when people want to join, they can or get into that career, they'll immediately get hired, and they don't really know the specifics or how the things work, how they're manufactured or the thermodynamics or anything like that. And so what they do is they just train them their own way. And in this industry, there's so many people that can be right at the same time. And I'm sure you see it with a lot of different trades. No, this is how you do it, stuck in your ways. But that's what I love about being on social media. I get to see how many people do it different ways and it still works. Which
right.
Yeah.
So you mentioned having brothers. Are your brothers in the trade too?
my oldest brother is actually a lieutenant at a fire station, so no. And then my other two brothers are in it. One is in the union and one is running the company. So yeah.
Very cool. How is it like working with family?
So I should say he's running his company.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Yeah. So it's very, very difficult. I will say, one of my brothers did start working out with my dad, and sometimes it just doesn't work, even though it's hard to maintain two different relationships with that same person. Very important to have a coworker, partner, on the job relationship with them. And then once you're off of work, it's like, okay, now that's my dad. Like now there's been many times where we'll disagree. We'll disagree on something. I went to school 25 years after he did. There's different things coming out, and we would just butt heads the entire time. But the second, he always told me, the second we shut that work van door, we're done. Like, we're done with this relationship. We could talk about it tomorrow. And he always stuck true to that. So, we would be going at each other. We get out of the truck, and immediately it's like, okay, let's go have a beer on the porch. Like, okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's definitely hard to leave things at work per se. Because even
Yeah.
with us, I mean, we're together nonstop working and then our apparel line, the podcast, and doing real life. It's hard to have relationships and then business. So
Yeah, it's all we talk about, business.
Yeah,
It is hard.
I needed help. I had a injured hand, and I needed help. And so I had asked my husband, like, hey, can you just come do this with me? And he's like, babe, no problem. Like, and I realized during that job, I could never work with my husband. I 100% love him. I could never do it. So it's most, or not most, but some people cannot work with family, their dad, their mom, their spouse. Doesn't mean we don't love it. It just, that relationship cannot work.
it's extremely hard. And we have our moments, but it's also rewarding too to figure out life on every scale together.
Absolutely. Yeah. After me and my dad kind of got through those headbutting, it was about 7 years where we were just like, we couldn't figure it out. And after that, we figured it out, and it's like the whole world changed. He had raised me in my teen years. He had So it was like I was still very immature. So once we got past that, we just became absolute best friends. I would still go over to his house on the weekends. I saw him every single day for work, but then we'd go over there and barbecue, and it was like the best. And he actually ended up passing in June of last year.
Sorry
So
to hear that.
thank you. Yeah, it was a hard one, but I look back on everything he's done. He was a funny guy. So
And now you're running the company?
yes, yeah, I became partners with him back. I believe it was 2015. um, I became co-owner with him, and then eventually took over. And it's the last. I'm gonna say before he got sick, about 2021, I would be doing all the work. I would, and he would ride with me. We would still go to work every day, and he would sit in the truck, or he would sit, and it was great. And I remember one day he was like, "Well, you don't need me to go. You can just," and I'm like, "Yes, I do. Like, I do need you to come with me." And I really believed that. Like, I need you to help me. What if I run into something? And I've been doing this like 15 years. I'm like, but I never had I would do jobs alone, but I'm like, no, not every day. Like, I want you to ride with me. I need you. And I realized after he had passed, and well, after he got sick and couldn't ride with me anymore, and I never needed him for the work. I needed his company with me. Like, that's what I
Yeah.
needed. And so after that, I'm like, man, but I was so blessed, really, to have him every single day over 15 years of just working. And it's a good memory for me because not a lot of people get that.
No.
That's awesome. And we
Yeah.
are deeply sorry for your loss. Going back to how you got started helping, I'm lacking the words right now. I apologize. The low income housing. I apologize. How did that get started?
So my dad was actually contracted with them before I was even able to talk. He, I'm not really sure how he got started, but I know that they loved him. They loved the business. And what we do is we specialize in manufactured and mobile homes. So that's our specialty. Of course, we can do houses and things, but there was nobody in the area that specifically did manufactured and mobile homes. And a lot of companies would be like, nope, we're not going to mess with that because it really is a lot different. You might think, oh, a furnace is a furnace. Or, it's not. It's definitely different. So when he got contracted with the county, he was for the manufactured and the mobile homes only. And so the last, 25, 30 years that he did that for them, that's what he did. And there's a lot of manufactured mobile homes all over. And so it just kept him really, really busy.
Yeah, if you're the only one doing it out there, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously
that's awesome.
I'm not in the trades, but my common sense is telling me mobile homes are not, there's no concrete slab, they're not on the ground. So I can kind of picture how difficult it would be to work in mobile homes rather than a home.
Well, the crawl space is definitely not fun.
I was gonna say a lot tighter situations.
Yeah, they're not all that great. Some attics though in houses that I've worked in, in the summer they get really, really hot up there. There's even been contractors that's passed because they'll go in the attic and just want to get it done. And it's very dangerous in attics as well. And I'm not saying this one's harder than the other. But everything with the HVAC has its own you know levels of hardness about them. And but for me personally, the manufactured and the mobile homes were a lot harder than the houses I have done because of the crawl space. Because a lot of them have where I was working was in the county I was working in have has rivers in it. And when the mobile homes are set there, they kind of have an incline, it kind of goes wide, and then so I'd have to crawl under them and just kind of like dig my way into a lot of them. And yeah, it wasn't fun. I do remember this one time where I had crawled under, nobody else could fit, which I am a petite woman, and so I could fit, I had no problem. So I had crawled under one and I'm digging and I'm just a little bit further to run some lines underneath the house. And I just wanted to get it done. It was really, really gross under there, and mind over matter, like if you start thinking about spiders and stuff, like you're going to start panicking. So I'm like just crawling, digging. And I had almost reached the hole and a spider had dropped on me. And I'm like, okay, like trying to brush, like, I get goosebumps thinking about it. And I was trying to get it off of me. It wouldn't go. And so I slapped it off, not realizing it actually had an egg sac on it. And so all of these little babies went everywhere. That's when I'm like, okay. And I started because how are you not, I should have been wearing overalls or something under the house. I wasn't. It was hot. I was in a short sleeve shirt, and I'm trying not to panic. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to regroup. I'm going to get out of here. That's when I realized I was stuck. And so I'm screaming. Like I'm screaming. My dad ended up coming under there and tying an extension cord around my foot and pulling me out because he's like, oh my gosh. That was the one time where I was like, I can't do this job. I can't do this job. But the day after I was fine. Just a little bit of bumps everywhere.
I was
Oh
just
my
gonna
goodness.
ask you that crawling under those crawl spaces, have you ever come encounter with like a raccoon or a possum like staring you there?
Yes. Yeah, it's usually when I get under, I'll take my flashlight and I'll look around. And if you see two little glowing eyes
Yeah.
back, it's, oh, yeah, all the time, especially in Washington. What happens is people will get leaks in their heat ducts in the wintertime. And so those animals will feel, oh, that's warm, and they'll go under there if it's not secured properly. And that's where they decide to live. There's a lot of animals that I found I'm sorry, in in heat ducts that have passed, and unfortunately a lot of the time it's the owner's cat and I'm like, oh man, like, got
Jeez.
some bad news. The good news is, well, I found your cat.
Crazy. So, are you riding alone these days? I mean, you said you brought your husband before. That didn't work out.
Yes. Yeah, right now, I am leaving the ins and outs to somebody that I trust because I needed a break from the year that my dad got sick. I was alone and it was a lot on me because I was also my dad's caretaker. I'm a mama too. I had to take over not just the responsibility of all the working, but the financial responsibility as well. So I just loaded it on, and it was building up, and which it's, Murphy's Law. Like when things happen, they happen. It was in December, and he had passed that following June. So in December, I mean, I'm at the peak of it. I have to take breaks to go give him breakfast and then go to work and then go give him lunch and then go to work and then my kids, and it's just pile it on. And I was at a job installing, and one of my tools had snapped, and sheet metal is very sharp. But I ended up severing 2.5 of my tendons in my hand. And usually it happens from the bottom, but this was from the top. So it was pretty deep. I have gloves on. And I know that I couldn't look because I could feel it. Like I could feel the warm. And so I'm like, oh, and I told my customer, and he was actually a medic in the Army, which just happened perfectly. If I were to, sever anything, I would want it to be there. And he was like,
Right.
don't worry about it, And I told him, I said, sir, this is really deep. I'm going to drive myself down to the little urgent care. And he's like, oh, let me see it. And he pulls off my glove and my hand comes up with it. And I look down, and I'm like, okay, I need to. But yeah, I ended up having surgery, and it was crazy. But I was still working alone at that time with one hand, and it was mind over matter. It's just, I'm going to get this done. So after my dad's passing and everything was said and done, I was like, I need to go on break for a bit for my own mental health, for my own sanity. I need to find somebody to do this. And that's what I've been doing ever since. I'll still take calls. I'll still help, I get calls every day from that person that's helping me, and I love it. But at the same time, I'm not super stressed about it.
It's so important to take a break. I mean, no matter what you're going through, breaks are very much needed, especially all that you've juggled.
Yeah,
Definitely take all the time you need.
yeah, and that's huge in the trades. Whether you're a man or a woman, mental health is really not talked about. You're expected to do it. in residential, you deal with customers all the time that are just, like, and you're like, oh, especially when you don't own the company, I can only imagine, you have people just going at you. You can't say anything. You take that in, you push it down, and you go home and you try to act like everything's fine. And that just adds up and adds up, and then the kids are like, why is mom always mad? Why is dad always mad? And it's so important to deal with your mental health in any trade.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
100%. I mean, the amount of stress that we would have at the job, and if it wasn't done fast enough, you got your ass chewed out and get it
Yep.
done now, hurry up, let's go. And it was rush, rush, rush. And that's all you could think of. I need to get this done as fast as possible, needs to be fixed. And then all you do is stress the whole time as you're doing it.
That's right. Yeah.
And you're yelling at your coworkers that are around you. And it's messy.
Yeah, definitely.
So, on your break, what have you been doing? What are your hobbies?
I'm glad you asked. I am basically homesteading. So I'm during, my previous years of just working all the time, and I really, really wanted to focus on my family, my kids, and my husband, and just make myself available for them because I wasn't available for them like I thought I should have been, which they totally understand. They get it. They've seen me work. They've helped me. But I have been available for them and able to make 3 meals a day and able to, spend quality time with them and teach them how to grow things and how to, we've got animals now and property, and I've been able to make bread and, just really, really have some one-on-one conversations with them. I used to just really, really part of the stress and stuff. I don't get enough time with my family, and it would really eat at me because I'm like, I could do better. I could be better. I could be faster. And that the anxiety with the depression, and it's like, man, I wish I could get ahead. And now it's like, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to regret about the past years. I'm going to move forward. And it has just changed my entire thinking process. And I'm like, I'm here now for my kids. And they love it. They absolutely love it.
It's never too late for anybody watching to be there for your children and your family.
That's right.
And it doesn't mean taking a huge break from your job or anything. It's just when you are around them, be there for them, be there with them, enjoy that quality time. We're all so rushed in our days. I mean, look how fast life is flying by for all of us. We're just constantly going, 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 and we're missing those important moments. I find myself missing the moments,
Yeah.
even if it's just watching a movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. It's
It's
hard because some of those jobs, I mean, the shifts are just crazy. When I was doing it, it was 13, 14-hour days. And by the time you get home, shower, eat dinner, you had an hour to hang out with the kids, and then it was off to bed.
Well, and it's not only that. Everybody in the world is always thinking about tomorrow, 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 the
Yeah.
next day, the next day. Like, we need to all just stop and focus on today and this moment and be present with our family and friends.
absolutely, yeah. And then the hour, that you get when you get home or whatever, you're not mentally.
No, you're not even there.
That's right. It's yeah, yep.
You're in your own world.
That's a huge thing, and that's what I always say too on the lives, or when somebody's like, "Oh, what's the most important thing?" or what, it's make time for family. As me being self-employed, a lot of people that have never been self-employed don't like I work for myself. So it's not a set schedule. It's Christmas morning I get a call, somebody's doesn't have heat, she's 90 years old. Sorry kids, I'll be right back. Like, what are you going to do? I work 24/7. Like, was working 24/7 no matter what, just to, get by. And now I look back and I'm like, making time for family is huge. Like, it is so big, which I made time for family, but I was not mentally available at the time. So we've
Okay.
got memories, and I would take them. My thing is fishing. I love fishing, and I'd take them fishing. I take a week off right before summer every year, and I'd go up to the northern tip of Washington, and I'd take my kids salmon fishing. My
Nice.
dad's tradition, and then I did. It was a good time.
I bet that's beautiful.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So the boys, do you want them to go into HVAC, or what do they want to do with their lives?
So my oldest son, he wants to join either the Marines or the Air Force, and he wants to eventually become a firefighter like my oldest brother, which is funny. But yeah, he was really into it. I think it kind of he turned his mind when he saw how much I took on and how, he got to see the cool work first, the heavy lifting. You don't have to work out, you get these muscles. But then he saw the backside of it as well later on because, I couldn't go to the office and I had to do it right there and deal with all these customers. And he's like, I actually don't think I want to do that. And my youngest son, he's very, very smart. He is really into IT. He built his first computer when he was like 9. And I'm like, okay.
Jeez.
So yeah, he's very smart. That's what he
That's
wants to do. And I support no matter what they want to do, I'm gonna be there supporting them along the way.
Very cool. Do you have any women friends who are in the trades in real life?
Um in not in
Well,
H
I know what you meant.
we're
Not on
all on
social
social
media.
media. We have millions of friends.
I have no friends. Yeah, I not in HVAC specifically, but I do in plumbing. I have a really dear friend of mine. She is an amazing plumber, which is funny because, HVAC and plumbers, they always kind of like bicker. And so we have that little, but we've known each other before we both got into the trades. And so I do have a couple of friends in construction and I love seeing women in the trades. I love it.
It's awesome.
I do too. I think it's amazing. I really do. I've worked blue collar most of my life, and it, up until the last couple of years, you didn't see a lot of women in the trades.
Mm.
And little by little, you see more and more and more. And I like to reach out to all the women on social media that are in the trades and tell them come to the podcast because people need to see that there's badass women out there killing it every day.
Yeah.
And you don't think of it because it was a man's thing and that was it. But now it's not, and it's awesome to see. I love it. I think it's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons about being a woman in which, a man's field, um, but there's more pros than there is cons. And the majority of people I've met are like you. I love that. I love seeing a woman in the trade. I love, and that's how I feel on TikTok. I have a lot of women, and it's so good and reassuring and uplifting to be like, yeah, we got this. I love that. Most men support it too. They love seeing
Yeah,
it.
because it's a great thing to see that, that women are doing the same thing that the men can do out in the field. And, it's we have done this for a long time and we know how tough it is. And to
Mhm.
see women start joining and being able to either do better or do the same is incredible because we know that this work is not easy.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's amazing.
Thank you.
It's definitely
I love it.
awesome. And we hope for anybody watching, we want more women in the trades. We
Hands
want more
down.
women on the podcast. We want to hear everything that women can do. It is truly amazing. Marcy, you are a badass. So, before we let you go, is there anything inspirational, encouraging to go along with that for our youth or women that are thinking about joining the trades?
Yeah, you know, just do it. Do what you love. If you love, the construction or the HVAC or the plumbing or electrician, if you love that, do it. Because what I've learned is like I thought I wanted to be a nurse, did not love it, but then I ended up loving HVAC. And when you love your job, you don't really work. It's you love going to work. You love, and it's such a good feeling. Don't let anybody, especially societies or, anybody surrounding you tell you you can't do that. Like, no, you don't have the muscles. You don't have the, I promise you, there's so many pros of you being a woman or smaller or, whatever it is that you can probably do a better job at it, if not the same. don't. It's about the mental. You know, don't let yourself hold you back from what other people are saying. It's if you want it, go get it because you can.
That's right. Get out there and get it.
Absolutely. I mean, we've had a millwright as a woman, a welder as a woman. We've had a crane operator as a woman now,
Electrician.
electrician, HVAC. I see a girl, she's up on these massive wind turbines in, I forget which country. Do you remember which country it is? But women can do anything men can do.
No.
Ladies, if you're watching this, do it. If I was younger and I knew about all of this, maybe I would have done it.
Yeah.
It's just so inspiring.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely.
Marci, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Well, thank you for having me. I enjoyed talking to you guys.
I encourage you to enjoy your break.
Yes.
Enjoy every second.
Thank you.
You deserve it. And I'm sure your father is nothing but proud of you.
Thank you.
Family is everything. And you reassured us that today.
Well, good. I'm glad I could do that for you.
You have 2 friends down here in South Florida. Please keep in touch.
Yes.
Sounds good. Thank you guys so much.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Have a good one.